can have challenges, and some challenges are beyond our control. Some challenges have come not out of our own mistakes. We find ourselves in situations that we did not ask for or which we did not even expect. But our God, the God of mercy, the God of love, is always ready to get out his children from every situation that they have found themselves in, for as long as they are ready to talk to him, they are ready to tell him of their situation, and they are ready to get out of that situation, not through their own strength, but through his power and through his help. Because there are things that we cannot get ourselves out of unless God intervenes. But how will God intervene if we are not asking him to intervene? Imagine you are in a situation where you know that someone can help, but you're not asking for help. You're in a situation where you believe you should get out of that situation, but you're not making any effort to get out of that situation. So when we recognize that we are surrounded by things that are making us uncomfortable, don't just remain there and complain. Don't just sit there and start feeling sorry for yourself. There is always a way out. And this is what our God is teaching us through this example in First Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10. We are told Jabez was the most distinguished of the brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I bore him with pain. Jabez prayed to the God of Israel, oh, that you may truly bless me and extend my boundaries. Help me and make me free of misfortune without pain. When Jabez realized that he was born under very difficult circumstances, and the mother had actually given up, that is why she named him Jabez, because she said, I bore him with a lot of pain. But was Jabez ready to stay there in pain, in that pain, and still continue carrying that burden? He wanted to get out of that situation. And so what did he do? We are told Jabez prayed to the God of Israel. Jabez knew there was a God in Israel. He knew he had to pray to the God of Israel, and he believed in the power of the God of Israel to change any situation of his life. So when we are in situations that we find are very difficult and tough for us, let us recognize there is a God in heaven, a God who cares for us, a God who is ready to help us, a God who is always listening to our cries, a God who can change any situation, provided you yourself have the will. We are told if we delight ourselves in the Lord, he will give us the desire of our hearts. So are you desiring to get out of that situation the way Jabez desired to get out of that situation? Because he knew if he accepted to remain in that situation, he will remain a rejected child. Yet we are told he is the most distinguished of the brothers. But because the mother bore him in pain, she gave him the name Jabez. Are you ready to get out of that situation? Do you know that God can get you out of any situation that you are in when you call upon his name? Like the way Jabez prayed to the God of Israel. He recognized there was a God who was powerful, There was a God who loved him, and there was a God who could change his situation. And so he did not just sit there complaining. He did not sit there feeling sorry for himself. Are you sitting there feeling sorry for yourself? Are you sitting there complaining? Or are you asking God to change your situation? Are you asking God to bless you? Are you asking God to change your children? Are you asking God to change the situation that you are in because you recognize that He is all powerful and you recognize the sovereignty of God? This is the God who is referred to in the Second Chronicles 29, verses 12. And we will read from the Word of God because this is what has described who God is. And we are told that God is the sovereign, He's all powerful, He's all faithful. And when we trust Him, when we trust our situations to Him, He will change our situations. He will change our mourning into dancing, the way He has changed Jabez's situation. We are told the Lord heard him. The Lord heard Jabez, and God granted his prayer. If God granted the prayer of Jabez, He is your God, He is my God. He will grant the prayer that you send to Him today. If you lift up your eyes to heaven, not looking at how much trouble you are in, because God is able to get you out of that trouble. He is all powerful and He is all faithful. And He wants us to recognize His sovereignty. Remember, we cannot please God without faith. We need faith. We need to believe that He exists. We need to believe that He can help us. The way Jabez believed, because he turned and prayed to the God of Israel. So he believed that this God of Israel can change his situation. And when he believed, his situation changed. And we are told that this God, yours, O Lord, are grandeur and power, majesty, splendor, and glory, for all in heaven and on earth is yours. O Lord is the sovereignty, you are exalted as head over all. So when you recognize that God is sovereign, you recognize His sovereignty, then He will come through for you the way He came through for Jabez. We are told he prayed to the God of Israel, and the God of Israel heard him and answered him. And we are told He answered his prayer. So, are you ready to go to God and recognize His sovereignty? And so God granted his prayer. The prayer he prayed to God, God granted. How faithful are we in our prayers? How truthful? Do we trust God in our situations? Or we just sit there complaining and feeling pity for ourselves? We shouldn't. We should ask God to change our situation. Remember, Jacob wrestled with the angel throughout the night. And finally, he told him, I will not leave you until you bless me. So, this is God who wants us to go to Him just as we are, because we are His children. We look at another example of the children of Israel in the desert. When they were there in the desert, they were faced by the enemy. The Egyptians were chasing after them, and the Red Sea was ahead of them. And remember that the Red Sea is such a huge sea. And the children of Israel did not know what to do. But God, in His mercy, allowed them to cross the Red Sea. When He parted the Red Sea and it became a dry land using Moses. And Moses was told, tell the children of Israel to move forward and not to be afraid. And that is exactly what happened. Now we see, even after they had gone, Moses led Israel forward from the Red Sea, and they marched out to the desert of Shur. After traveling for 3 days through the desert without finding water, they arrived at Mara. Imagine, God saved them from the Egyptians at the Red Sea. He parted the Red Sea and they crossed the vast Red Sea. Now here they are, they have traveled in the desert for 3 days without water. You can imagine the same God who parted the waters. Now these children of Israel are without water. Then they arrived at Mara, where they could not drink the water because it was too bitter. They came across water, but this water is bitter that they cannot even drink it. Can you imagine? God has taken care of them. He has parted the Red Sea for them, and he has killed their enemies. And now here they are. They are at Mara, and there is no water because the water is bitter. Let's hear what happens. Hence, this place was called Mara. As the people grumbled against Moses, they are grumbling now, saying, "What are we to drink?" He appealed to the Lord. Listen to these words. He appealed to the Lord, who pointed out to him a certain piece of wood. Was the wood there? Yes, it was. Could Moses have seen it? No, he wouldn't have seen it. But when he pleaded, that is when the wood got some work to do. That's when he knew that the wood was there for a purpose. So, what is there in our situation that God has put there? We need to plead with God so that we can see what He has placed at our disposal to use for the situations that are ahead of us. And this is what happened when they cried out to Moses. In fact, they did not cry out, they grumbled against Moses. But Moses appealed to the Lord, who pointed out to him a certain piece of wood. When he threw this into the water became fresh. So God had already seen the wood. That wood was not there just by accident. God knew the children of Israel will come here at Mara, and they will have traveled for 3 good days without finding any water. And imagine when they came across water. Now this water they cannot even drink because the water is bitter at Mara. But what does God do? God waits for Moses to plead. So God waits for us to talk to him. He has the answers. He knows where we should go. He knows what we should do. But he waits for us to take action. Remember, our God is a God of action. He's not just a God of words. And here he knew this water was bitter. He knew they were going to pass here, but there was a solution. God always has a solution, but we have to call out to him. We have to plead. We are told Moses pleaded, and he was shown, God pointed out to him a certain piece of wood. Not all woods, it was a certain piece of wood. So God has the answer to your problem. He has the answer to what you should do. Ask him today which wood he is pointing out to you. Ask him today where the solution to your problem, because he has that solution to your problem. The wood is right there for you to throw into the water so the water can become fresh, for you to be able to drink. That means if you are faced by any situation, call upon the name of the Lord. Call him for direction. Call him for light. Call him to guide you. Call him to give you an answer. When he pointed out the wood to Moses, it was a particular type of wood. It was not all the trees in that place, because God has an answer for each and every situation in our lives. He has the answer to all our problems. And when we are faced with these problems, let us not complain. Let us not grumble. Let us go to God like Moses did. he went and pleaded with God. Because now imagine, here they are with no water. The water they have found is bitter. They cannot drink. It was not fit for human consumption. But can you imagine God pointing out some wood to Moses for Moses to put that wood in the water? So God can change any situation in your life. There's no situation that is too hard for God. Your life is in his hands. My life is in his hands. Is it a sickness? He is the healer of his people. Is it a financial situation? We are told in Chronicles 29 that he is the owner of all resources. He is the owner of everything that is in this world. He is the owner. So there's nothing that God cannot do. We are the ones who do not go to him. We are the ones who shy away. We are the ones who keep away from God. But God has the answer to that situation that you are facing right now. You can turn around that situation with the help of God, not on your own, but with the help of God. If you cry out to him, if you plead with him, like we are told Moses pleaded, or you turn to the God of Israel, the way Jabez turned to the God of Israel, and God answered his prayer. That's what we are told. God answered his prayer. So does God answer prayer? Yes, he does, and according to his time. If this message has helped you, please share it with your friends, leave a comment, subscribe to this channel so that we can walk this journey of faith together. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly.